Chapter number 9. The Other Woman. If you don't have faced something when it's happening, you will have to face it later on. That is a lesson that took me years to learn. One of the hardest things I ever had to face was the fact that Jamie was drinking too much again, even after being a wonderful husband and father for 5 years. People ask me if there was some sort of trigger, a traumatic event that pushed him back into drinking. The answer is no. Really, when I look back, what I see is a slow, almost insidious slide from his having a beer at a cookout to being a man in the dark grip of addiction, reckless, sometimes mean, and absent from his family, physically and emotionally. It started out innocently enough, with Jamie enjoying a casual drink at our crawfish boils of parties. Obviously, he could handle a drink or two here and there, or so we thought. It was just that kind of social drinking that ended up pulling Jamie and all of us beneath that undertow of alcoholism again. We thought he could get away with it, but in reality, an addict like Jamie couldn't handle even one drink very well. He started drinking more and more, and I started to try manage his intake. This is also text. This is also textbook conduct on the part of the alcoholism's spouse. We talked a lot about not letting his drinking get out of control again. About how it would be okay if he only drank wine, or if he only drank beer and not anything hotter. Then it became if you only drink after work, and if you only drink with me and not your buddies, and so on and so on. Pretty soon, our efforts to maintain Jamie's drinking at a reasonable level were almost ridiculous. We worked harder at controlling his alcohol consumption than we did maintaining our marriage. This is a this is classic cope, dependent behavior. I created. I reacted to Jamie's disease with a diseased pattern of conduct myself by making excuses for him, feeling sorry for him, and shielding him from the negative consequences of his drinking. I was in some ways enabling his condition. I thought I was getting by, coping up as best I could under the circumstances that we all were. But really, we were barely hanging on, sick ourselves from the unhealthy constructed of our life or a family life. It's been said that alcoholism is a family disease, and I was ailing in my own way as I got caught up in his drinking, especially when and how much he was doing it. Sometimes only a crisis or a bunch of them can break through denial. Jamie started neglecting his business. He was overspending, and things started falling apart. He would travel to work out of town, and I was left to face the bills collectors. It was a game at us to figure out how to keep the wolf away from the door. I would make the phone call to try to keep the lights on, followed by another call to the phone company to try to persuade them not to turn the phone off again. I was robbing Peter to pay Paul, as they say. Literally, sometimes I didn't know how we would put gas in the car or food on the table. I was always making excuses for Jamie, covering for him with the bill collectors, with his work, telling them he couldn't come in because he was sick or something had suddenly come up. I lived every day in uncertainty and insecurity. I woke up every morning thinking, did Jamie come home last night? Or if he had been around somewhat dependently for a while, I'd wonder, is this the day the man I love will start drinking again? Or what will he be like when he comes home this weekend? Or how long will his binge last? Or will there be enough money to buy essentials? Or which creditors will I have to fend off today? Or who will I have to make excuses on Jamie's behalf? Or how long will it be before he acts like a daddy again? Or sometimes some versions of all of them, all of the above, almost at once. The sad truth is, you can make excuses to the most important people of all, your children. You just cannot cover with your kids. In an alcoholic family, you can hide the truth of things from them because often they are more attuned to the problem than you are. Sometimes I was in denial about something Jamie had told me, something I dearly wanted to believe about where he was and what he was really doing. More than a few times, my children would call me on it. Mama, you can't be that blind, they would say. And I would feel so naive for believing Jamie. Of course, I wanted to believe him from my pit of my soul. From the pit of my soul. After the particularly nasty blinch that led to a blowout between us, I slumped down the kitchen floor and cried my eyes out. You know I love you, don't you? Jamie said to me. His voice raged with emotion and regret. I know you love me, I said wearily. That's never been the point, but it's the way that you love me. It is a destructive love. I'd rather not to be in love at all than be in love this way. Sometimes I wondered who on earth I was becoming. Who was this controlling, angry woman who looked back at me in the mirror? One day I lost it, hauling out a nice chest from the back of Jamie's pickup truck and shooting it smithereens. It was Jamie's grandma, Lexi's birthday, and we were getting ready to go as a family to a pizza buffet in Macomb to celebrate with her. I had asked Jamie many times that day if he had been drinking, and in my codependent way, I just kept asking even though the answer was obvious. The final straw was when Jamie stumbled out of the bedroom and staggered in front of a mirror to check his appearance. Busted. I was livid. I went out in the backyard and told Jamie's brother, Austin, to haul out the ice chest in Jamie's pickup truck and put it in the backyard. The chest was full of booze. I had a shotgun. We Southern girls know our way around a weapon, and I started firing before Austin was as far out of the way as he would have liked. Wow, hey, Jamie's big, muscular brother did a little get out of Dodge dance, and then I blasted that chest to smithereens. I shot his beer. I shot his wine. And I think in a very real way other I shot the other woman, the mistress who had stolen my husband from me. You know what they say about desperate times? Our health spa and gym was right next to the door. Our health spa and gym was right next door, and a lady was on her way into workout when she heard me firing. She thought I was shooting a snake or something and came over and asked if everything was okay. Nothing's okay, I said calmly, and I'm just killing the beer in his chest. Minutes later, I called my family, including my drunken husband, and drove off the pizza buffet. It was life as usual in this Pierce family. Even then, I stuck by Jamie. People say that I could have or should have left him a long time before I did, but they have no idea what it was like. Anyone who is married to an alcoholic knows that a drinker can convince you time and time again that he can overcome his problem. This time, our family life was like a huge roller coaster ride in some ways. But when we were at the top of the ride, life was great. When Jamie was good, he was really good, attentive, sweet, fun, wonderful, and he convinced me countless times that he was going to stay that way. I let him get away with so much because he could. When I look back, I wish he'd had the strength to say, "That's it, we're done until you can prove to me that your behavior was really and truly changed." I wish I could have trusted that I could stand on my own 2 feet with God helping me. But it's a terrifying feeling to throw away everything when you've tried so hard to make it work. I was also worried about finances. I didn't know if I could make it on my own, even though I had my daycare business and later my teaching job. I thought, where am I going to live? And how will it work with the kids? I was afraid to move, so I stayed put stymied by indecision. Also, divorce seemed to me to be the greater of two evils at that time. It didn't strike me as the answer. Our bank account was empty, and so were my emotional stores. I had Brian and Brittany to take care of, and I was completely reliant on God's care. At my emptiest hours, I knew God held me in His strong hands. He had me, and it would be okay. People say I was strong, but that wasn't it. That wasn't it. Not at all. Trust me, I had moments of precarious, terrifying weakness that could have gone one way or the other many times, but I felt at the core of my being that if I, as a mother to those precious children, fell apart, they would fall apart too. A mother has to do whatever it takes to keep things from crushing and burning for her family. Looking back, I'm almost positive staying with Jamie was not the right thing to do for the kids. Our children saw far too many knockdown, drag out fights between their mama and daddy, but I kept going, fueled by a mother's dodged, foundational desire, mistaken though it was, to do the best by her children. Most of all, I wanted them to know that somehow it would all be okay, that God held us all. I wanted to project an attitude of hope and good things to come, that would be okay too. I prayed if only they believed that.